It may have been a weekend off in the SuperMotocross World Championship, but the Hub returns to discuss all that has happened in the world of motocross in the last 7 days and catch you up on the news from the week that was, of which there is a wide variety. We actually have Monster Energy FIM Motocross of Nations news for the first time this week, so that's a novelty. And we'll start with that, in fact. Joe Shimoda will lead Team Japan into Ironman and actually race a 450 in the MXGP division. He will be joined by Soya Nakajima in MX2 and Yuki Okura in the open category. With Shimoda at the helm, there is almost no doubt that Team Japan will slide into the A final. They should make it there, at least. Another team that is A final worthy is Team South Africa. Tristan Purdon, Camden McClellan and Cameron Duro will represent that nation on American soil. A recognisable team. Of course, Tristan Purdon has raced pro motocross events on occasion. Camden McClellan is a Triumph factory racing rider in MX2 and actually won his first moto in Trentino earlier this year. Germany have not announced their team as such, but they have announced a shortlist of which their final team will come from. So Team Germany will be made up of 3 of these 6 riders: Simon Lagenfelder, Ken Roczen, Max Nagel, Max Spies, Noah Ludwig and Tom Koch. Now, of course, all being well, you would presume that Simon Lagenfelder and Ken Roczen will lead Team Germany into Ironman. And then on paper, Max Nagel is probably still the best third rider, although Spies, Ludwig and Koch are all regular point-scoring riders in MXGP, so they wouldn't exactly let the team down. And as it has been in recent years, all being well, Germany have an outside shot at a podium and maybe even the win. But of course, for that to happen, you need Lagenfelder and Roczen on top form. Now, Team Australia also have not finalised their team, but what they have announced is that Jet Lawrence and Hunter Lawrence are in an effort to defend the Chamberlain Trophy. Now, of course, that is no surprise. The MX2 spot is yet to be announced. It seems likely that that is between Jed Beaton and Kyle Webster. Either rider would be a great pick. Jed Beaton currently leads the Australian MX1 Championship over Kyle Webster, so perhaps they give the nod to the champion. But of course, Webster did perfectly well last year. But then Beaton is no slouch either, so I feel like you can split hairs with that one. Either rider would do the job well. Moving on to some unfortunate pro motocross news, we've lost Drew Adams to a broken index finger. Now, I wouldn't think that he would be out for too long. Of course, it's not the most serious injury, so we should see him back for the playoffs, if not sooner. He will need some more points to secure his place in the playoffs, even the LCQs. So I would imagine there will be some urgency there. And then we've also lost Gavin Towers as he's having a torn ACL repaired. Towers was actually kind of impressive across the first 3-4 rounds of pro motocross. He stood out to me at Thunder Valley as he worked his way through the field from the back of the pack each time. We've also lost Caden Manier, who has torn the UCL ligament in his thumb. Of course, the UCL, common terminology in motocross nowadays. He is going to strive to return for the SMX Next Finals, which will take place alongside the SMX World Championship Finals in Las Vegas. Of course, although he's made a professional debut, he is still technically an amateur. And it's old news, but just to clarify, we have also lost Chance Hymas for the remainder of 2025 as he has undergone surgery on that torn ACL. It's not all bad news. We have added Rockstar Energy Gas Factory racing rider Justin Barsha to the Southwick lineup, so another factory bike in the super deep 450 MX field is something to look forward to. But what we won't have at Southwick is a factory MXGP rider. There were, of course, rampant rumours of the Coenens travelling to Southwick this week, but in talking to multiple people, it seems as though KTM were never quite on board with that plan. So although the rumours went quite far, officially, it never came close to getting a stamp of approval. But the Coenens were persistent and quite eager to race at Southwick. In fact, Lucas Coenen took to social media this morning and posted on his story saying, "It looks like some people are blocking me to make my dream come true," which is quite a scathing social media post, if that's in reference to KTM not allowing him to race. Of course, they are his employers, and by all accounts, despite the HRC rumours, they will still be on a KTM next year, although with the Coenens, you never really know. There were also rumours a couple of weeks ago of Jeffrey Hurling's race in Southwick. That is, of course, not happening. There was a lot of discussions, though. Even I was involved in some of those and tried to make it happen, but unfortunately, that wasn't on the cards either. We did have Jeffrey Hurling's in competition on Wednesday night in Wales, in Great Britain. He raced against Conrad Mewse, Tommy Searle, and other British Championship regulars. Conrad Mewse won the MXoN overall with 2-1 scores to Jeffrey Hurling's 1-2, although Hurling's won the super final. It's a weird midweek series. There are 3 rounds on consecutive Wednesdays, 4-lap motos for some reason, so it's not exactly the most serious affair, but still, Conrad Mewse beating Jeffrey Hurling's once again says a lot for him. And Mewse was actually set to race Southwick. It was locked in for some time, but he's dealing with a niggling wrist injury, and so he didn't want to travel when he's not 100%. Of course, to go against that, he's winning British Championship motos by 40 seconds apiece, and he's just beaten Jeffrey Hurling's. So one could argue that he would actually do significant damage at Southwick and filter in around the top 6-7. But the tale of Conrad Mewse has many chapters, and it's a windy story with many ins and outs. We will add Cornelius Tundel to the Southwick lineup, an MXGP privateer, if you want to call him that. He's on the JWR Honda team, a satellite team in Europe, and he's actually a very capable sand rider, so don't be surprised if he filters in around Paturel. In fact, he may even be better than Paturel in the sand, so he will surprise around the top 15, 14, 13 would be my guess. So when you see that name, it's not the first time you've heard it. And then moving forward, Red Bud, we will have Antonio Caroli there for Ducati's Desmo 450 debut in the United States. So very exciting. Of course, it's been talked about to death, discussed at length on multiple podcasts. I know I've broken it down time and time again, but it's now official. So get excited for Red Bud in 7 days' time or so, when you will see Antonio Caroli on track, and he's coming off of a fine 7th at the Grand Prix of Great Britain. So clearly more than capable of mixing it up in the top 10. That's all we've got for the Hub this week, so thank you for watching and listening, and we will be back in 7 days' time with more global motocross talk.